You got an iPhone 6 and you're thinking about upgrading to an iPhone 7 Plus. Should you upgrade from an iPhone 6 to a 7 Plus? Coming up right now, let's go. So what is up guys, Nick here from Everything Tech, helping you to master your technology. And should you upgrade from an iPhone 6 to an iPhone 7 Plus? That's the reason I'm creating this video, for the purpose of helping you out with that. So let's begin with a boot up test of both devices and talk specs. 3, 2, 1. And we're gonna boot both of these up at the same time. The Apple logo does appear first there for the iPhone 6, but that does not mean it will boot up quickly over the iPhone 7 Plus. Now, let's start with a quick spec refresh. The iPhone 8 is going to give you an Apple A8 CPU that's a dual core chipset clocked in at 1.4 gigahertz with 1 gigabyte of RAM. Over here on the 7 Plus, we get a quad core A10 Fusion chip that does have 3 gigabytes of RAM. So you've seen the iPhone 6 definitely behind on the boot up test by about 5 seconds. Is 5 seconds a big deal? Not really, but that really depends on your own personal take. Now, when thinking about upgrading from an iPhone 6 to a 7 Plus, you just have to remember that you are going to be dropping anywhere from $700 to $1,000 for a 7 Plus, unless you're getting some secondhand deal from maybe somebody on the street or, you know, like Craigslist or something like that. But if you're going the retail route, you're going to the Apple store, you're going to a T-Mobile, an AT&T, a Verizon, a Sprint, any of these bigger carriers or Rogers or wherever you are in the world, whatever your carrier mobile company is, you're going to be paying a premium to get the 7 Plus. And is it worth that upgrade? Well, let's do a quick speed test to see if the speed is much better on the 7 Plus. So let me go ahead and make sure I'm on the same Wi-Fi network for both devices. Both are running iOS 10.2.1, which is the latest official, software on the iPhones. 10.3 in beta is out, but that's not, released for mainstream consumers yet. That's for beta testers. So you can see right here, both are now on the same Wi-Fi network, and we're going to begin this quick speed test. Let's start with YouTube. And like I say, light tasking should not be that much different for either. So the iPhone 6 had to load some, ad or something. So still, the 7 Plus was way ahead there. Let's go into Appy Geek. And you can see the 7 Plus does load it quicker there, and now the 6 right behind it. But I mean, that difference, you've seen that was very close. That difference is very, very small. I mean, for these third-party apps. Let's go into Twitter. You see the 7 Plus way ahead there, coming home. Let's go into Instagram. And you can see that the 7 Plus is ahead there. We're not going to run each one of these applications, but you can see that, the 7 Plus is definitely giving you a solid increase in speed. But you got to remember, are these couple of seconds $1,000 increase, or can you just wait until the next redesign, which is going to come with the iPhone 8? That's really what I think a lot of people are asking themselves here. So performance on the 7 Plus, it's an obvious thing. It's obviously better. I'm not making this video to tell you. You guys already knew that the 7 Plus has better performance. But people that are looking for an upgrade need to know about these things. So the iPhone 6, in terms of the camera department, we're talking about an 8 megapixel camera here. And guys, the iPhone 6 actually takes pretty nice pictures. I mean, I was pretty pleased with the camera quality I got from the iPhone 6. Even though it's an 8 megapixel camera, it's not a bad camera. I mean, it takes pretty sharp photos. And you'd be hard pressed to find a huge difference between this and the iPhone 7 Plus, if you're just taking everyday quick pictures. Now, if you're a professional, if you're a creative out there, if you're doing YouTube videos, making videos on your phone, taking pictures to promote your Instagram brand or anything like that, you are gonna like the 7 Plus's camera way more. Anything like that, where you're using it for more business related things, but for just casual use, both take sharp pictures on both devices here. You do have the, the dual lens, but I didn't find this to be so useful. Actually, I mean, portrait mode is cool and all to have, but it's not like the only thing that would make me pick an iPhone 7 Plus is the camera. It's not that, big of a deal in my experience. I think cameras are still better than even a dual camera on a smartphone. but I'm not knocking it. The 7 Plus, probably top 2 in the top 2 best smartphone cameras on the market. So what about battery life? So here is where you're gonna see a huge increase in battery life. Based on my experience with the iPhone 6, the battery life is pretty weak on the 6. It's less than a 2000 milliamp hour battery here. For the iPhone 6, I think it's something like 1950 or maybe even the 1800s. Guys, if you know the exact spec on the battery on the iPhone 6, do me a favor, comment it down below. I don't think it really matters to know the exact one. The fact is, in my experience, the iPhone 6's battery does not make it through a whole day. Now, the iPhone 7 Plus's battery always makes it through a whole day. It's got nearly a 3000 milliamp hour battery. It's actually up in terms of the battery life over the 6S Plus of last year, and probably about the same as the 6 Plus. So battery life is strong here for the iPhone 7 Plus. If you decide to upgrade, you're gonna get a massive increase in your battery life day to day if you decide to do this upgrade. Now, gaming. Let's just test a couple of games here and see if I got a couple of similar games on both devices. Let me go over into games here, and let's just go into Dead Trigger. So with this quad-core CPU, and let me turn that volume down here. With the quad-core CPU on the iPhone 7 Plus, it should play games much quicker here. So let's see which one loads faster. Also, it has an upgraded GPU. You see the iPhone 7 Plus ahead, waiting on the 6. So the 6, not bad at all though. You can play games easily on both devices and have a great time, but the 7 doesn't get as hot and it does run a bit better. What about the call quality? Something I don't talk about a lot in a lot of my videos, but if we are going to be doing an should you upgrade video, we should talk about the call quality. And I found the call quality to be better on the iPhone 7 Plus because when you're taking speakerphone calls, you have this audio firing directly from the front of the phone. So having that dual channel audio makes speakerphone much better. In terms of signal, the iPhone 6 did kind of, go out of signal a little bit more than my 7 Plus. So if you're deciding to upgrade, you do get a slight increase in the call quality. What about audio quality though? We should talk about here if you're deciding to do a upgrade on the iPhone 6 versus 7 Plus. The audio quality is much better on the iPhone 7 Plus in terms of the speakers that, like I said, that come out of the front. In terms of the one that comes out of the DAC, so if you plug a headphone jack in, I think it's actually a little bit better on the 6 because through the lightning port, that actually is a weaker DAC that comes through the lightning port than what's going to come through an actual standard 3.5 millimeter headset jack. So you do lose the headphone jack here for the iPhone 7 Plus, and I do not see Apple bringing the iPhone 7 Plus with the 7S Plus with the headphone jack back to the device. I just don't see that happening. And the Bluetooth headphones will sound pretty solid on both devices, but if you want better audio, you're gonna have to go to Bluetooth route with the iPhone 7 Plus. Not a big deal to some, but some that is a big deal. Now let's talk about another thing. Storage. You do have the ability to go up to 256 gigabytes in terms of storage on an iPhone here with the 7 Plus. Whereas if you might have the highest capacity iPhone 6 at 128, you can go up another 128 gigs up to 256 here on an iPhone 7 Plus. And that's a massive increase in storage. That's like 100% increase. Well, you could say 50% increase in storage. I think that's way more storage than anyone would ever need on an iPhone, but that's just my take on it. But you do have that ability. So if you're asking yourself, should I upgrade? Just know that you can upgrade all that storage. And my final thing I want to talk about here in this video between iPhone 6 versus iPhone 7 Plus, should you upgrade, is value. What is the value proposition? After using both of these devices extensively, I think if you're gonna keep an iPhone a very long time and you're not so crazed about the upcoming iPhone, you don't care, you're just getting a little bit sick of your old iPhone 6, it's not cutting it for you anymore, is it a good value to upgrade to the 7 Plus? In terms of the price point, I think Apple does charge a lot more than other, manufacturers, but that's because they're trendy. They're the top of the line. They're like top of the line in terms of where marketing, where people want to go. They see Apple, they just want it. They don't care if it's got the best hardware, they just want it. So that's why they can charge these, $1,000, $1,500 for the next iPhone, or for the 7 Plus, near $1,000. And when we're talking about value, the 7 Plus, probably not the best value, but it's definitely a big increase in terms of, you know, what you can get out of it versus the 6. You can do a lot more just because of that 3 gigs of RAM and quad-core processor. You could run a YouTube channel off this phone, and that editing in iMovie would be much more, you know, processor efficient if you do things like that. So if you're a heavy user, the iPhone 7 Plus offers great value. If you're a light user, not the greatest value, but still a great upgrade here from the iPhone 6 to the iPhone 7 Plus. Should you wait for the iPhone 8? Like I say, that all depends on you. Do you like to be on the latest trends? If you like to be on the latest trends, then I would just skip the 7 Plus out because they're just gonna upgrade it very soon here in like September. So yeah, that pretty much wraps this one up for me. This was the iPhone 6 versus the iPhone 7 Plus. If this video helped you out in making a decision whether to go to the iPhone 6 to the 7 Plus, drop a comment down below. Any questions, comments, concerns of anything of any sort, leave it down below. We got people that will help you out in the community here, as well as I will get back to your comments as soon as possible. Nick here, helping to master your technology. Be sure to be well, and peace.